This is the second of 2 webinars we've conducted. We'll also be conducting webinars throughout the month of November, and you can look at a list of our upcoming webinars at admissions.ucmerced.edu/webinars and sign up for one of our future webinars, including our very popular last-minute application assistance that's happening this year on November the 20th and November the 30th. With that said, I'd like to introduce you to tonight's speaker. Tonight's speaker's name is Georgie Smith. She's our Assistant Director of Admissions and has 17 years of experience in the University of California system and 8 years here at UC Merced. With that said, please welcome Georgie.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Georgie Smith, like Dustin just said, and I'll be leading this presentation/webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the presentation. We have presenting yourself on the UC application for undergraduate admissions for both freshmen and transfers. So there we go, I got it showing. Hopefully, let me share my screen, just one second. Wonderful. All right, everyone, so I'm gonna present this information to you for about the next 30 minutes. And then, like Dustin said, hold your questions and we'll be happy to take those once we're through this information. Hopefully everybody has started their UC application. The application did open August 1st, so hopefully you started shortly after that time. But here's some tips on the overview of what we'll be talking about tonight. Before you begin, how applications are reviewed, completing the application for admission and scholarships. Personal insight questions, we'll just let you know that we're going to have another webinar on November 13th. That will go into depth about personal insight questions, so make sure to tune in for that, November 13th. And then we'll briefly say about submitting the application. Okay, so the real important thing to know this time of year is the application timeline. We have the timeline right here for freshmen, and then the next slide we'll talk about it for transfer as well. So as I said, the application opened August 1st. You can submit beginning November 1st through 30th. And you can self-report your December test results as of, you can self-report your December test results that you completed in December, early January. So we want to get those to UC as quickly as possible so we can make sure to have that information when we're reviewing your application. We'll notify you about the admission decision for freshmen, February through March. Your statement of intent to register deadline is May 1st for freshmen, and the waitlist notification for freshmen would be May through June. Now the next timeline is for transfers. Again, the same timeline for the application, open August 1st, same time to submit November 1st through 30th. And then January, we're gonna ask the transfer students only to go in and report their fall term grades and any winter or spring courses that they have in progress or planned. So that's something you'll want to do in January, and the priority deadline for that transfer academic update is what we call it, is January 31st. The transfer application update will not close until March 31st, but we really need to know what your grades were for fall and your winter and spring course schedule as we go through and evaluate in the month of January. So hopefully that's pretty clear, and that's just for transfer. And then the notification for admission decision will go out March through April. Usually it's released like for freshmen on a rolling basis for some campuses, not all. I know for UC Merced it is a rolling basis. So in June 1st, that's when you'll want to submit your statement of intent to register. And then May through June is when the waitlist admission notification would go out. All right, so that was a lot of information, but this information will be available to you after our presentation as well. Preparing for the for submitting your application is pretty important. You want to make sure you have all the information that you'll be reporting in the application available to you. So copy of your transcript. There's some great resources out on the University of California website. Help completing the application, which will give you a worksheet to put your activities, awards, and all of that information in for freshmen and transfer. Also, we say ask for advice and feedback. That's really important. You want to make sure you reach out to your counselors, teachers, family members, and good friends to look over what you're putting in the application in case you're forgetting something really important. And then, of course, apply broadly. If you do qualify for a fee waiver, you get the application fee waived for up to 4 campuses if you do qualify for the fee waiver, and that is determined in the UC application. And then email communication is critical. As we're going through the evaluation period of the application, we may have a question for you, so make sure you use an email address that we can reach you at, not another family member. And it's an email address that you can check often and is something that would look professional as well. Sometimes people put things that aren't necessarily the most professional email addresses, so we just caution you that this will be looked at by every UC campus admissions office where you apply. So make sure you put forward something professional like you might use in the workplace. Okay, now briefly about how applications are reviewed. So every UC campus receives the same application from you. However, we don't review them together. They're reviewed individually by each campus. What we're looking for is the minimum requirements, and then how the application is reviewed individually by each campus will be a bit different based on not minimum requirements, but the selection that's used by the campus, which is determined by the faculty on every campus. So the key things that we'll all be looking for are strong grades, good test scores, and course preparation, and an inclusive educational experience. We look at the access of the student that the student has within the context of the environment that they're studying in, and the available resources and opportunities to them. So we are looking at the full application, not just the personal insight questions. So that is something that all campuses are looking for. Again, strong grades, test scores, and course preparation, and an inclusive educational experience. Comprehensive review is something that has been created. There are 14 factors. And again, like I mentioned briefly, every UC campus does create their own selection based on the faculty on that campus. So we're all looking at these 14 factors, but every campus's faculty will determine which of the 14 factors they're placing the most emphasis on. So that is, again, based on every campus's faculty members. I know for our campus at UC Merced, which is the only campus I feel comfortable speaking about, we're looking at we do a comprehensive review, which is, 75% are academic factors. We're looking at your test scores, your grade point average, your honors courses, and then 25% is non-academic factors, which would be the accomplishments within your life experiences, special achievements and projects. We're looking at maybe special talents, achievements, and awards. So all of that is taken into consideration when we review your application. And again, every UC campus does this individually and is created by their faculty. So hopefully that helps everyone understand. And you can find information about how each campus does review the application on the University of California website. Okay, I'm going to jump into completing the UC application. Hopefully everybody has started the UC application, but if not, it's not too late. So the more important things to point out are the statement of application integrity. I wanted to point that out, your academic history, your examination scores, activities outside of school, and then verification of application information. These are important details that you really want to be accurate in reporting. So the basics that will be something that you need to be very accurate about too is your contact information, the browser requirements, and then also we do have something called the 30-minute automatic sign out. That's there for your protection. If you're completing the application in a public environment, the UC application will time out after 30 minutes if you're not active in it, and that's really to protect you so your personal information isn't left open and available to anybody who may be, walking by the computer terminal where you were working. So hopefully that makes sense. And the way you avoid the application timing out on you is to continue being active in it. So using the previous, forward and back buttons inside the application, not the browser. I made that mistake myself when we do application testing. You'll want to make sure to use those forward and previous buttons to move within the UC application. Okay, so getting started. Basically, the application deadline, just to remind you all, is November 30th at 11:59 p.m. Where you can access the application is the universityofcalifornia.edu/apply. And if you're creating a new account, you would go to the create a new account area and when you go out to the application page, and then that's how you would start your application. Once you get into the application, you're not allowed to move within the top buttons where it says start, campus and majors, scholarships, all of those areas until you finish your start section of the application. And then you can progress all throughout the application to the different sections. So again, like I was mentioning earlier, you want to use next and previous to move within the application. Don't use the browser back button. Another important feature to point out is when you're on the pages, you'll see inside this section of the application, which is really important. It'll talk about campuses, majors, review campuses and majors. So it'll have all that information in that section, and then specific questions that are commonly asked will be right underneath that. So you'll have a nice clear way to navigate within the section and then to see the asked questions that we get from applicants just like you. So we'll go on to the next screen. Again, when you're starting the application, make sure you're selecting the correct term and the correct level. So first-time freshman applicants will be selecting freshman. If you're a transfer level applicant, you have the option of being a junior level transfer or a lower division transfer, and you will have those options when you go into the application. So it's very important to make sure you're in the right term and you're selecting the right level. For freshmen who are attending like a community college during high school, you're still considered a freshman. If you're at a school that's considered like a middle college, high school, you're still a freshman because you haven't, as long as you haven't started college level coursework in a regular term after you completed your high school education and received your diploma, you're still a freshman no matter how many units you take while you're in high school, how many college units you complete while you're in high school, you're still a freshman. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so this is really important. When you start your application, you'll want to select your country of citizenship. For many of us, that may be the United States. However, other students do study outside the US and come from outside the US to study here in the United States. So if you are coming from another country and you require a visa to study right now in the United States, you'll want to select your country of citizenship. If you are studying here in the United States and you've come from another country, but you're still in a status of like undocumented, you want to put no selection, because if you do select the country that you're coming from and you're not on a visa to study, you'll be put on a visa path. So no selection is the best option for students who may not be documented in the United States, and that would not be any issue there. Another thing that you do not have to report unless you do have one is a Social Security number. That's only required if you have a Social Security number, but even then it's not required. So Social Security numbers, the reason we ask for those is to basically make sure that we can identify a student beyond just their last name and first name. We'll use a Social Security number to help identify test scores and exam scores. But if you don't have one or you don't feel comfortable reporting one, you do not have to. Another identification you can add is your individual taxpayer ID number or a Social Security number that's used just for work purposes. That is something you can also report in this area. And I may be, let's see, oh yeah, for students who may be on the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, they may have the Social Security number for work purposes or the ITIN. And you can report that in the application or leave it blank. It's not going to prevent you from moving forward. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, selecting a major is something you'll want to make sure that you've researched ahead of time. There's nothing worse than getting an application and being overwhelmed by all the options. So make sure you go into the University of California website and research the different majors that the schools offer. And take some time, do some exploring of your interests and decide what seems like the best fit for you. Okay, and then if you're applying to UC San Diego, do not panic when you get to the screen that says you have to rank the colleges before moving on. This is not going to impact your admission decision. It's not going to play a role in it at all. They just try to get this, they require this information ahead of time because it helps them to make sure that you're ranking them in the order that you're interested in if you are admitted to their campus, that they know where to place you based on your interests. So it's really just your preference, and it has nothing to do with your admission decision. Okay, so you can read all about the UC San Diego colleges and then make your decision based on the information you read, but this will not impact your admission decision. That's usually a question that a lot of applicants have. Oh, this is very important. Your scholarships are very important. Make sure to fill this out. A lot of students will pass this up and think they'll go back to it, and then they might forget. It's really important to pick these scholarships that are available because these are the private donor scholarships. They're based on your academic interest or your specific backgrounds or maybe a career objective. They're really important, and you can go in there and select up to, I believe it's 16 total characteristics that may apply to you. And what you do is you'll drop down the plus menu and make the selections there. Again, it's really important to take time to do that because that is money that is free money, the money that you do not pay back. That is scholarship type grant money that is free and does not require you to pay it back. And you will find out if you do qualify for those scholarships once you are admitted to a UC campus and your financial aid packet is prepared. Okay, something that's important as well that helps us understand where you're coming from and a bit about your background. It also helps determine the application fee waiver. So make sure you're putting this information in accurately, is the About You section. Basically, we'll be asking you about your family size and family income. And I always tell applicants, make sure you're speaking to a guardian or parent when you're doing this part of the application and verifying that you're entering it correctly. A lot of times students think because a sibling is away to college that they're no longer a part of that household, but they actually are. So your parents will know best, or your guardians will know best in the situation. So just make sure you check with them before completing this. This information is not used to determine residency status or eligibility for financial aid. It's just getting information about your background, the family's education levels, income, the family size, just information about your home environment. Okay, so I'm going to jump into academic history, and I'm sorry if I'm going fast, so please take time to put your questions together because we will cover them at the end. We have people that will be on the chat, and then I'll also be answering questions live. So gather your questions as we're going through this. It's just I have a very tight schedule to get through this information. So, okay. Here we go for freshmen. I'll be covering the transfer academic history after this as well. So for freshman applicants, we're asking for your 7th and 8th grade courses, specifically in mathematics and language other than English. It's important to report this in the application. And when you do report that you took that math course or that language other than English during the 7th and 8th grade, we are expecting you to be reporting these courses that you received a C or better grade in. We're taking this as self-reported information. So make sure that when you do put that course in, it's a course that you passed with a C grade or better. Okay, and this is something that will be used to help meet the A through G subject requirements. So this is really important. Now, it's also important if you completed geometry in the 7th and 8th grade, let us know, put that on there. And you can put the term type that you did. Was it a full year? Or it'll give the drop-down menu. So maybe you did, you know, a semester or 2 semesters or a full year. So that's important to let us know. Same thing with language other than English. You can help to meet that area of the A through Gs by reporting that in there. Now, if you took another language in 7th and 8th grade, we would expect to see you go on to a higher level once you're in high school. It's something that we like to see students continue to gain more knowledge and advance in the level of the coursework. Same thing with math. We're expecting to see higher level math taken once you get into high school. Okay, high school attendance. This is important too. This is going to let us know that what type of special curriculum you studied in. And then what's nice about the UC application, I always call it a SMART application or a SMART app, because you can start typing in your high school's name, and if it's a school in California, it will complete that name for you. So it's a really neat feature. You want to make sure you list every school you attended. A lot of times students move schools during their high school time, some more than others. So you want to make sure you list every high school you attended since 9th grade in the application. And for students who went to college courses or completed college coursework during high school, you'll have a section to put that in as well, and we'll cover that in a minute. So this is important to go over. This is including your start date and end date, and then what grades you attended during which academic year. So make sure you're very careful when filling this information out. I always tell students to work from a copy of your transcript, your academic record. If you took summer courses, you know, after 9th grade, all the way up through, you know, 11th grade, that's great. Report those. Your GPA calculation will start with the summer after 9th grade and all the way through to the summer after 11th grade. So put those summer courses in. They will count in your GPA. This is a place under that section of the application you'll want to put in if this is the high school you're graduating from, yes or no, and then the type of degree that you received. Another area under that is the date you plan to receive your diploma, and then the grading system that your school used. You'll have more than one option there. Some schools use percentages. What is your school term types? If you studied at a school or multiple schools and there were different term types, you can select more than one term type in this section of the application so you can enter the information accurately. Again, work from a copy of your transcript when you're filling this information out, because if you are admitted to a UC campus, we will request transcripts from, you know, all schools attended since grade 9. So we'll want to see those courses matching on the academic record, the official academic record, matching what you self-reported in the UC application. And then that would prevent any sort of academic integrity issue that would be thought of, so if it wasn't reported accurately. Okay, and then in the high school coursework, you'll go ahead and start with your grade 9 courses. You'll enter in the actual, you know, if it's a history course, English, all of that, and then you'll go ahead and select the courses. You'll mark if they have honors, and then if it's a 2-grade term, then you'll put in the 1st and 2nd grade. So again, you're entering it exactly as it appears on your academic record. So for students that didn't enroll in a California high school, you're not going to have this sort of view. You're going to have to put in the information a little bit differently, and it'll basically show you on this next slide how that might look. So this slide is showing a California high school. It auto fills in, you know, the different options you have in 9th grade for those courses. And where that's coming from is your UC approved course list for your California high school. So it is a bit easier for students when they are California residents attending California high schools, but there is still the option if you studied outside of California or if your school doesn't have a UC approved course list, you can still very easily enter the information into the application. So what you would do is put in the subject area, the course name, if it was an honors course, and then basically how many grades received would have been determined when you did the term type. So this is also used for students who do study at a California high school and they're not seeing their courses on their course list loaded into the application, so they can report anything they're not seeing that they did take and that they want to be included in their academic history. So again, this is just a good view for students who may have studied outside of California or their school doesn't have a course list that's been loaded into the UC application. All right, and then like I mentioned earlier, if you took college courses while you're in high school, you can also report those in the UC application. And this will be something that you'll definitely want to do, but please note, if you're reporting college level courses, we're going to be expecting to see that college level transcript once you're admitted, because we're looking for admitted students to submit all transcripts from every institution attended both within and outside the United States since grade 9. So for international students, if you've studied outside the US for part of your high school time, please report accurately from your academic record from outside the US, and then prepare to submit an official international academic record if you're admitted to a UC campus. Now, your high school may actually include your international courses on their California high school transcript. That's fine. That's what they do for their school in order to make sure you're meeting their graduation requirements. However, and this is very important, UC wants to have your official record from the international institution as well. It's very important to realize this. We cannot take the international coursework on your California high school transcript. That's considered pass-along credit. No UC campus can take that, so we're going to require the official international academic record as well. If you have questions about that, don't hesitate to reach out in the question section of this webinar. I do international evaluation for UC Merced, so I'd be happy to talk to you about that personally in the chat, or you can contact, you'll have information to contact people after as well. Okay, so if you went to a college, while you're in high school, here's how you report. You'll select your institution. Similar to the California high schools, the California community colleges will start autofilling for you as well in the UC application. So you won't have much trouble finding the courses that you, college level courses that you took. But again, you include your term, the grade you took it in, the grading system used. You'll select the, you'll select the course name, the grade received, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but you can always reach out if you have questions. Okay. Academic history for transfer applicants. We have a lot of information to cover, like I mentioned, so I'm not sure how many students on the call are transfer students, so I'm going to take a brief moment here to cover this information as well. UC Transfer Admission Planner. This is for transfer students only. We always recommend students that are transfer level applicants complete the UC Transfer Admission Planner. It is so useful. This tool is great. You can go in, complete your transfer admission planner, and what you do is you enter all your college level coursework from the start of your time taking college level courses, and then we can go in at the UC campuses, or the counselors at the California community college campuses can also go in, review what you've entered, and give you feedback about it. So I've done this so many times for college transfer level applicants. I let them know that, yes, you can put all your information in there, and I'll let you know if you're on track, or if I see you're missing a course, or I can recommend you'll need this course still for this major that you're interested in. So the UC tab is really great, because then you can basically upload your academic history into the UC application. So it is not double work. It's one time. You complete the UC tab and you don't have to put your academic history into the UC application. You can just upload it in. It's really easy. It's a lot easier to use that, get the feedback ahead of time, and then you're applying with more confidence, knowing you have what you need. Okay, we also want to know high school last attended in the applications. So the school you last attended and the school that you graduated from is important for us to know in the transfer application. So we'll ask you for that, and then you can say what type of diploma you received, or if you completed a GED or some type of certificate of completion, we'll want to know. And if you studied high school outside the US, you can put that in there as well and put your certificate of completion that you received and the date you received it. And then you can start your college information, your attendance by putting in. Now, if you did the TAP, you could pretty much just upload it into the application. If you don't do the TAP, you'll go and put this in term by term. So this is a good example of a student who went to a California community college. They select their start date, their end date at that college, and then what type of term system, and is this your current or most recent school is the application question there. And then what you'll do is complete that information, and then you'll start entering the courses you completed and the grades received. If you don't see your course that you completed there, you can go into similar like we showed before, click on the box, I do not see all of my courses, and this box will open to allow you to fill in the course title, department, course number, course title, units, and grade received. And then you can do that for every institution that you attended. And then if you did your college coursework, other academic history transferable courses, it's going to ask prior to transfer, will you complete 2 transferable college English courses? Oh, it looks like we lost a connection. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so we'll go ahead. I'm sorry, I think the screen had frozen or stopped viewing, so I apologize for that. We're on the transferable courses that were completed in the academic history is a part you fill out in the UC application for transfer students. So we're wanting to know if a transfer student completed the 2 college courses in English composition. We'll ask that question, and then the minimum, at least minimum level mathematics course. So we'll be asking that as well. Okay, and then the next slide will be, oops. Oh, it looks like we're having more technical difficulty. Thank you so much for your patience. Don't worry, we'll get it back going. Okay. Okay. All right. That looks right. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience. We have it back up again. A little technical difficulty. All right, so the next slide is your academic history comments. This is very important, and this is for both freshmen and transfer. I'm going to transition back to both level of applicants. If you have any sort of situation in your academic history that you feel we need to know, this is your opportunity to tell us. It's really important. You want to let us know. You have 550 characters that you can tell us if you had a term that something happened that affected your academics, you know, your performance level. Maybe if you went to a school that had a different type of grading scale or system, you can tell us this information here. This is typical for students who study maybe outside the California in another state, or maybe outside the US. But anything you want us to know about your academic record, here's the place to tell us. It's really important to use this to explain any sort of circumstances that may have affected your performance, okay? And we do read this. It's important to us we look at the full application, so this will help us know. I always tell students when I'm out of school visiting, your counselors know, your family know, your friends know what you're going through, but we don't know when we're reading your application, and we can't assume what may have been going on. We have to go based on what you let us know. So let us know if something happened that impacted your academic performance or the course availability. I've had students report that their instructor left and midterm, and you know, it impacted them, you know, academically because, you know, they had a different instructor come in temporarily. These things are important. We need to know what's going on. And you're the one that can tell us. So work with your counselors if you're not sure how to explain it, but let us know if something did impact your academic performance or course availability. Okay, activities and awards. This is really important as well because, like I was saying, we look at non-academic factors at UC Merced, and I know our sister campuses do too. So in these sections of activities and awards, we're looking for coursework other than A through G courses. Something special that you studied that is, something that you want to let us know. Maybe you did a special engineering coursework or preparation, let us know about that. Maybe you basically studied coursework other than A through G for, your career, something for career interest. Let us know about that too. If you participated in any sort of educational preparation programs, AVID is one, tell us about it. Anything that you did, like CalSoap, Cosmos is the one listed there. Any of these programs that you participated in, let us know. If you're involved in community service, tell us about it. We want to know. It's important. If you're working, let us know what you're doing. Any sort of honors and awards, we want to hear about, but we need you to explain these things to us. Try not to use like acronyms or abbreviations. We're not necessarily going to understand what these acronyms stand for. So give us that detail, and you have a place to briefly describe that program or honor or award you received, and kind of in the context of what the award was or the honor was that you received. Was it top 10, top, first in 200, first in 10, first in the nation, or I'm sorry, in the county, first in your school, first in the state, or first national. We want to know like at what level you were awarded and the context of it. So that will help us understand better. Any sort of extracurricular activities you did as well. I always tell students, not everyone is able to participate in after-school activities or sports or different things like that. They have a very strict schedule. Maybe they have to go straight home after school. Maybe they have to help with their family, take care of their siblings. Maybe they get involved in their community or their church. That's what you want to tell us about. We're not going to know unless you tell us. But you can have leadership experience and other opportunities outside of the school, in your community, in your church, in any sort of like cultural programs that you're involved in. Tell us about it. It helps us understand you and the world you're coming from. It's really important. And don't discount, that family involvement. That's important. You have leadership roles that you take on in your home life. I had a really good friend, and she forgot to talk about how she helped when her mother was going through chemotherapy because she had cancer. So she had to take care of her younger siblings. She had to do all these extra things around her home, and she still did well in school. And if she hadn't told us that, we would not have even known. So that's where it's important to have your family members look at the application, or people that know you really well, in addition to your counselors or teachers. Okay, so hopefully that helps you know. Tell us about you. You don't have to be the class president or the captain of the football team. There's other experiences you can tell us about, and it's important too. Okay, this next section is for our high school students. It's the exam section. So when you're a transfer student, you're not taking the ACT or SAT, right? You're done with that. You're out of college, but our freshman applicants are. And we're looking for the ACT with writing or the SAT with essay if it's February 2016 and beyond. But maybe someone took the SAT reasoning test, before March 2016. You can report those scores and let us know. Basically, you'll want to go ahead, and what we're expecting at the UC system, and every school is different. I know CSU is different than us. But the UC system, we're looking for the ACT with writing and the SAT with essay. So that's very important when you go to sign up for those exams. Make sure you're including with writing and with essay. Excuse me. You'll include in here the month and year. If you had an ACT ID, What that is explained. What is the ACT ID? I'm sorry, ACT ID. I'm slurring my words here. I apologize. That's basically something that you can include if you do have one. And then for international applicants, please note, I hear a lot that sometimes it's hard to get to these exams. It is a requirement. So you'll need to make arrangements to get the ACT with writing or the SAT with essay. It's not something that is waivable. It is a requirement for all UCs. Then if you plan to take or retake this test, either one of them, you can put that month and year that you're planning to do it. And again, that another thing I'd like to point out is that students who are needing to take the another exam called the TOEFL or the IELTS, which these are English language examinations. So the test of English as a foreign language is the TOEFL, and the International English Language Testing System is the IELTS. These are other exams that you can report in the application, and we'll get to those screens to show you in a bit. But the next exams that I want to talk about are the AP. So the advanced placement exams, you can report those as well. And it's important to tell us if you did take these. They could be a good way to demonstrate your academic mastery in a subject. It can be used to satisfy an admission subject requirement that maybe wasn't satisfied with coursework. So advanced placement exams, a 3 or better score, can help you to possibly meet a requirement or even get college level course exemption. So that's important. Where you can find that out is by looking at the individual campus's catalog. They'll talk about if a course could be exempted with an AP exam. All right, so it's usually a 4 or higher score, but there are some level 3 scores that do exempt a course, like the English 3 for UC Merced. All right, the other exam that you may report to is the International Baccalaureate exam. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off the screen. That is something that you may have a program where you're taking international baccalaureate courses and you have the opportunity to take an exam. You can report that in the application as well. Okay, so personal insight questions, I just want to remind you that November 13th, we'll have another webinar that will go into depth about these. And here's the last important part of the application I want to point out, additional comments. We have the additional comments after the academic history. This is the additional comments that's available after the personal insight questions. Don't answer another PIQ in this area. Use this area to tell us anything that you didn't have the opportunity to talk about in the UC application. The UC application is very comprehensive, so most chances are you had been able to tell us about it in another part of the application, but if there's something more you want to share, please use this space. You have 550 words to tell us anything more that you may want us to know. Personal or family circumstances, anything that you couldn't clearly explain in another part of the application. Okay, submitting the application. I know time is getting short, so I'm going to go through this rather quickly. This is like your guide to see, if you're completing a section of the application. Once you have that full green dot, this is telling you that it's done, it's completed. If it's not filled all the way, then it's in progress. And if there's no green in it at all, then it's not even started. So you want to make sure that you complete every section of the application before you even start the submission process. Completeness check. This is another way the UC application is really smart. It's going to tell you, hey, I see that you're not having all the requirements met. And then you can possibly have met it with an exam score. That's great. So don't worry about it then if you know you took that AP exam, the IB exam, the SAT subject test, whatever it could be, that is meeting it. So you've checked it and you're okay with it. You took that, AP US history exam and you got a 4. So check the box to say, I know this is right, I'm going to submit anyways. And then it'll also tell you if you're missing coursework in a grade level. You entered 0 courses for 10th grade, or you did not indicate that you attended the 10th grade. You need to make sure that you check these areas because you may have missed something as you're going through this application. This is your last chance to make sure that you're submitting a complete application. Another really important part of the application is the release and signature. So you're authorizing the University of California to release information. You go through and you have boxes that you check off. If it's not checked, nothing will be released. So be very diligent about this part of release. And then the last thing, the statement of integrity. This is really important. You know, every year the UC application will do a random audit check of the applications of, you know, the applicant information. You might be selected, and if you are, that means you have to verify every piece that you reported in the application. So we can't tell you how important it is to be honest, to be very accurate in the information you are providing in the UC application. Make sure it's true and correct to the best of your knowledge, and that way you won't have to worry if you are randomly selected. Fees and payments. Here's the fee waiver. You're going to find out, yes, I did qualify for the fee waiver, and you'll know that in this part of the application. If you accidentally made an error, you can go back and change that information in the family size and income. That does happen, and the UC application will allow you to. So make sure, again, don't have that happen. Enter it accurately to begin with, and then you can have, possibly you can qualify for that fee waiver. And if you do qualify for the fee waiver, that's 4 campuses that you can apply to without paying an application fee. Don't miss that opportunity. Apply broadly. Okay, this is the screen where you have to review and submit. So you're going to go ahead and go through here. You see, oh, 1, 2, 3 campuses. Oh my gosh, and they qualified for the fee waiver. They can get up to 4 campuses. You might want to go back and add that campus. Why not? You're just going to select 1 more campus, the major that you're interested in, and then boom, you're done. There's your 4. So you will not be required to pay any sort of fee in that case. And then make sure you submit your application. Believe it or not, some students forget. How will you know? You'll know when you get to this. You're going to the review and submit. You're saying, yes, I'm going to go ahead and pay if I had to pay. If I don't have to pay, you don't need to worry about that. You click I understand, you click the next button. And now, are you sure you're ready to submit your application? They're not going to let you skip this. So if you're not getting these boxes popping up, are you sure you want to submit? You know you missed something. So go ahead and click yes, because you're sure everything looks right. You have the 4 campuses for your fee waiver, or you've submitted 9, to 9 campuses because you wanted to apply to every undergraduate UC campus available. Then you submit it, and you're going to get an email. That is important. You want to print that receipt, keep it for your records. You want to print a copy of your UC application as well. You want that information that you keep. It's important. So you'll get that congratulations, you've submitted your application, and you know you're done. So if you don't get that when you're going through to submit your application this month, make sure you go back to find out what happened, what did I miss. All right, I think that's everything. I'm going to go ahead and leave the screen up, but I know we have the opportunity to begin doing questions. So I'm going to have to stop sharing just for a second. And I'm going to look at the Q&A here. Now, throughout the time, we also have our chat people that are on the line. They can help answer these questions as well. So I'm going to go ahead answer this first one. How do we see if we are qualified for a fee waiver when we are submitting scores from the SAT? So what you would want to do to see if you're qualified for the application fee waiver, I'm not sure if I'm getting this one right, you'll see it in the application. So you will see if you're qualified for up to 4 campuses. Hopefully that answers, hopefully that's the fee waiver you're talking about. Okay, So I'm going to go on to the next question. Let's see, I will answer this one live from Diego Flores. Is our A through G GPA weighted more heavily than our GPA overall when considering accepting a student? That's a really good question. So the way the UC GPA is calculated, I kind of mentioned it during the presentation. We consider those courses that are A through G courses, approved A through G courses, summer after year 9, all the way through summer after year 11. That's what's in your GPA. And then we allow a weighting of 8 honors points. So that's 8 semesters worth of honors points. That's how the UC GPA is calculated. Summer after 9th grade through summer after 11th grade of the A through G courses, and we allow up to 8 honors points. We allow 4 in the 10th grade and then the remaining 4 in the 11th grade. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, could you go over, I'm going to answer this one live from Monica. Could you go over how to get a fee waiver for UC's application, please? Oh, you know what? I just answered that. So the fee waiver is determined by your family size and income, and that's determined in the UC application. So you will know if you qualify for the fee waiver in the application. And now if you realize you made an error in the application based on the family size and income, you have the opportunity to go back and make that correction. So the UC application fee waiver is determined based on your family size and income. And if you do make an error, please make sure that information is accurate. But if you did make an error after talking to your family, you can go in and correct that. Okay, let's see this next one. Next one is from Henna. If I had a high English score on one test and a high score on math on another test, do you guys only look at one score for the SAT? That is a great question, Henna. UC does not super score, and that kind of sounds like what you're talking about. So we don't take a score from, we don't take the highest scores from multiple SAT sittings. We only take scores from one, consider it from one sitting. We don't mix and match. Now some colleges do. UC does not. We're not into super scoring. We'll use the SAT exam that you've taken if you've taken more than one, or the ACT with the highest level of scores overall, but make sure you report all your SAT and ACT, with writing, SAT with essay, because there may be a score that was higher, like in the English language arts of the SAT. We may want to use that score set, that one sitting with the higher level score for your admission. We're going to use the one, UC is going to use the single setting of scores, single sitting of scores that most benefits you. So it's okay to report all your scores. Okay, hopefully that didn't confuse you, but we do not super score, in short. Okay, if someone is graduating a year earlier, I'm answering Lynn's question, what classes from what year of high school do you consider for admissions? So if you're graduating a year early, we want you to report all your courses that you completed in the application, and we would consider the courses from in our consideration of your admission decision, we'll consider all your courses, but in the UC GPA calculation, it would be the summer after 9 through the summer after 11. But we're gonna look at your overall academic record, and we're gonna look for those A through G requirements being met with your entire record. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, this is from next question. It looks like we have a transfer level applicant that has a question. If I have more than 90 transfer units, can I still apply as a junior to be able to complete 2 years at UC Merced? Kyle, this is a great question. I want to point something out. UC is only going to count up to, we're only considering you having 2 high of units if you're taking upper division units. So what that means is you can take 200 lower division transfer level courses, all lower division. That would be your California Community College. You could take 200 units at a California community college, all lower division units, get 4 different associate degrees. You're still considered a junior level applicant. And you're like, why is that? Because we're going to limit your lower division units to 70. That doesn't mean you don't get credit for all 200. Of course you do. You get subject credit. But we're going to limit the lower division units to 70. So we want you to complete the remaining units at UC, whatever campus you're going to. I'm going to say UC Merced. So you can never have too many lower division transfer units. The only time it can be problematic if you're taking upper division units. So that would be at a 4-year college and you're beyond the lower division units there, and now you're taking upper division the last 2 years of that 4-year degree. That's when it can be problematic, but only if you're getting up to a certain level. So every campus has consideration for a certain level of units. They'll send it to a dean for review. For UC Merced, I only feel comfortable sharing my campus's rule. 80 semester units or more has to go to the school dean for review. So that's the faculty looking at to see if, okay, you have 80 transfer units because 10 of those units are upper division. So we're going to add it to your 70. Those 10 upper division units put you up to 80 because we can't limit upper division units. Then you'll have to be a school review. Not to say you wouldn't be considered for admission, but that's the only time when units can cause a problem. If you have upper division units or if you attended a University of California campus, we cannot limit those units. So hopefully that helps. And that information is available on the University of California website. Okay, I'm going to answer this one live by Ari. What is the most common mistake students make on the UC application? Ari, I'm totally going from my perspective, but I'm going to say not giving us the detail that we need. So being very brief in explaining their circumstances. So maybe not telling us when they had a hard time in there, you know, not using those additional commentaries, not telling us they had a hard time academically, not telling us about something that impacted them or something that happened to them during those, for freshmen during those 9th through 12th grade years. You know, saying something that happened, but it really wasn't even during their 9th and 12th grade years, right? Maybe it was a long time ago. That's fine to share that. But we also want to know what's happening to you now as a student, completing your high school education. You know, you can tell us about other things, but make sure you include any sort of situation that's affected you. And also as a transfer student, what happened? You know, maybe you were in a car accident, maybe you got sick. These are things we need to know that you needed to, you know, this impacted me academically. Maybe you had some sort of, you know, personal issue. You don't have to go into too much detail, but we're not going to assume. So I guess that's my most frustrating experience as an evaluator, because students don't give us that information. We can't assume as a reader of an application. We can only take what's given to us by the students. So that's my most my most frustrating mistake that a student might make in the application, not giving us enough information. Hopefully that helps to answer the question for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take Lena's question and answer this live. So if I took an online class, I report where the class is offered. For instance, on my transcript, it says that I'm enrolled in 2 schools. And so I report both schools. Online classes, you definitely want to report in the application. Now I'm thinking off the top of my head, let's see, an online BYU online. you want to report that you took that as well, and you want to report that school, and then you also want to provide that transcript as well for that school that you attended. We don't usually, like I said, there's something called pass-along credit. Now, if it's another California high school, that is something that we can put, your high school can put in the application, or another high school, maybe even outside of California. Those are fine when it's high school level courses, but if it's an online class and it's not offered by your school or it's not on your school's course list, then we'll want to see that transcript as well. So I can't think of one off the top of my head other than BYU right now. So maybe I'll let somebody else provide a more detailed response. I'm sorry, I'm having like, Cyber High is another one. Now maybe your school is taking that online course and putting it on their course list, and then you don't need to get anything extra. It's when it's a separate institution from your school and it's not an academic program that your high school is offering. So again, it's just like, college courses. You want to include that transcript as well. Hopefully that answers it accurately. Anyone else wants to add on to it in writing, that's fine too. Okay, if I took a dual enrollment, I'll answer this one live. How could I include the transcript? Okay, dual enrollment is something that we're seeing more and more of at UC. Dual enrollment could be a college course that you're taking, and then you'll want to include that college level transcript. Dual enrollment could be your high school instructor decided to, take a high school or teach a college level course at your high school, and they're giving you the option to basically take it as a high school level course or a college course. I see that happen too. So if it's something that's being taught by your instructor and it's a college level course and it's even at your high school, make sure you get that college level transcript. If it's going to be taught as a high school level course, then your high school can include that on the transcript. But if your instructor who is at your high school is teaching a college level course, where that's going to need to be transcribed by the college. If they're taking it on as a high school level course and they are now the instructor for that course and it's considered high school by your high school, then it can go on your high school transcript. So it just depends. If it's the transcript is determining basically if it's a college course and it has a college level transcript, then you need to submit the transcript. If it's being taught as a high school course by your high school and it's not college level, then your high school has adopted that coursework, then it's going to go on your high school transcript. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Feel free to get more information if anyone's getting confused, because I'm answering this kind of quickly. Okay, so here's a good one. I study 9th and 10th grade. I'm answering for anonymous outside the US, but I'm graduating high school here. The courses I took there do not match those that are listed on the application. Do I list those courses in a way my high school here interpreted them? This is a really great question. Thank you for answering this. No, don't list your courses on how your high school here is interpreting them. You want to look at your academic record from that school outside of the US and report it exactly as it appears on your international, call it international academic record. Otherwise, if you're admitted to a UC campus, please know you're going to be expected to submit that transcript, because we want transcripts from every institution attended, and then you're going to have to basically have that official one submitted to us, and it's not going to match what you put in the application. We're going to be confused, because if you're saying you studied outside the US and you're reporting the courses similar to how your high school's reporting them, it's not going to look right to the international evaluators at every UC campus. So report them from your international record. the course title and the grades exactly as they appear on that international academic record. It could be numbers, it could be words, it could be something completely different from your US high school grading scale. Don't worry, report it just like it shows on your record. UC has trained international evaluators that know how to to review those courses, the international courseworks. Hopefully that helps to answer that question. And please know that you're going to be required to submit that official transcript from outside the US as well. So make sure you start preparing by getting that. Okay, I will take this next one from Daniel. I'll answer it live. Can I add on my application the struggles of my school, such as a low amount of AP classes? Absolutely. That's a great thing to add into the additional comments section after your academic history. Let us know that you didn't have those opportunities because your school didn't offer them. You know, please know though, if you're not able to, if your school doesn't offer AP classes, know that you can also go and take maybe a college level course, but that's not an opportunity for everybody. So let us know your school didn't offer that, you know, and you basically wanted to share that with us, because not every campus is necessarily going to know that. So tell us that in the application. And you can just, you know, share that, you know, you would have liked to have had that opportunity, it wasn't offered, and basically other ways you may have tried to challenge yourself because your school didn't offer that. That would be a great piece of information to share. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, so I'm going to take this next one live from Diego. Has there ever been a case where a student didn't perform well academically due to personal issues, but was still accepted even if they had a low GPA? 3.0 to 3.4. I think you're saying lower than 3.0 to 3.4. That is a situation that it's considered, you know, case by case. So definitely talk about personal issues that affected you academically. That is something that would be reviewed on a case by case basis. We basically, the minimum requirement is 3.0 for a California resident and 3.4 for a non-resident. We look at a student's full, complete application. We will look to see if there are issues, and then those can be considered for review by our director. It could be something that as we're reviewing that maybe there's a case that, again, this is case by case, that we would put forward to say the student had this situation, and we would ask you to look, we would ask the director to consider looking at it. So definitely don't count yourself out if you've had difficult situations. We look for things like marked improvement, where you may have had a really bad turn in like 9th grade, beginning of 10th grade, but then you had a total turnaround and you made a change, and we look for that marked improvement. So yes, take the time to tell us about those situations, because they will be reviewed and taken into consideration. And thank you, Diego. Miriam, I'm going to take Miriam's question live. At my community college, I'm in EOPS. My EFC for FAFSA went up from 0. Will UC Merced accept me into EOP? This is a great example of, there's a lot of acronyms in this message here or question. So Educational Opportunity Program, that's what I'm thinking EOP means. You have an opportunity in the UC application to tell us if you want to be considered for the educational opportunity programs that are available at the UC campuses. They all have different names. We have Fiat Lux Scholars. Every UC campus has their own, you know, educational opportunity programs. So I think I answered that correctly, but if someone else wants to respond, if I'm misunderstanding it, please go ahead for our people on the chat. Again, a lot of acronyms, and I think that is how I define that acronym, EOP, Educational Opportunity Program. You have a chance to tell us that you would like to be considered for the program in the UC application, so definitely take the time to do that. Maybe you're first generation in your family to go to college. Maybe you come from a lower socioeconomic level and you don't have the opportunities that, you know, other students may have had. You can tell us that in the UC application. Okay, hopefully that helped, Miriam. All right, I'm going to answer Gerald's question. Does UC look at senior grades? My school is in a semester system. We do. We look at your senior grades, but they're not calculated in the UC GPA. Remember, I had said that in the presentation. We're going to calculate your UC GPA based on the A through G courses completed, summer after 9th grade through summer after 11th grade. We're including summer after 10th grade too in that. So all the courses you completed, summer after 9 through summer after 11, in your UC GPA. Do we look at senior grades? Yes, it's very important to continue doing well in your coursework. I find it so frustrating when I see students doing so well in their academic performance, and then something happens senior year and their grades drop and they don't tell us. This is the most important thing you can learn, or one of the most important things you can learn. Let us know if you're not doing well academically after you have submitted your application. You have the opportunity to do that. Go into that portal, that school portal, and tell us. Let us know, send an email, in whatever way you can get in touch with us, but your portal is the best way. Let us know that you didn't do well in the fall like you expected to. Let us know as soon as possible so we can try to work with you to make sure that you can make that up, or you can still be considered for admission to that campus. So it's really important to consider your senior year just as important as 9th, 10th, and 11th. We're going to be looking at that. So do well. Don't over challenge yourself. I tell students that all the time. Don't over challenge yourself. It's great to take AP and honors, but don't take so much that you can't do well. So hopefully that helped to answer your question. Okay, I am going to go to the next one. I'll answer anonymous live, anonymous attendee. Can you go from undecided to engineering major in a UC? Well, I'm going to answer that question how my mind's interpreting it. So you applied undeclared, undecided. You're a first-year student. You can absolutely declare an engineering major by the end of your sophomore year by working with your academic advisor. Now, that's how my mind went, because that made the most sense to me. If you mean, can I go from undecided major in the application to an engineering major in the application? No, that's something that doesn't, that would be very difficult to do, because you submit your application. Now, if you're admitted to a UC campus, you would be working with your advisor. So that is something that you can definitely go undecided and then declare your engineering major. Now, if you're a transfer student, I better answer for this group too. You need to apply to your major that you're intending to study. You need to complete the coursework for that major of choice, the preparation coursework. UC Merced is a selective campus for all their transfer majors. So our faculty say they want to see your major preparation completed by the time you're starting at UC Merced, so you can go into that upper division coursework. But definitely reach out if you didn't get your question answered on this. So hopefully that helped. Okay, I'll go ahead and take Pumi's question. An A through G course offered by high school was taken at another California high school in the summer of 9th grade. The transcript has pass-along credit. Do I still need to get the transcript from the other high school? Okay, Pumi, this is a great question. So if you're studying here in California and you go to a high school and then you take a course at another California high school, that can be added on to your California high school transcript. That's not considered pass-along credit. It's only when it's international coursework outside the country. It's considered pass-along credit because the way the U.S. high school is interpreting that international coursework is not going to be the way the UC campus does. So we want to see that international coursework entered into the UC application from the international academic record, not how the high school interpreted it for graduating from high school. Hopefully that makes more sense. So it's not pass along credit if it's California high school to California high school. It's only if it's international onto a California high school transcript. Okay, Daniel Soto, I'll answer yours live. Do UCs also consider if your SAT is higher than the average of your school? That is something that UC campuses can take into consideration. They may be looking at where you place in your school as far as your exam scores. Our campus is not looking at that factor when we review, but I cannot answer for other UC campuses. I know that every campus is done differently on how they select applicants and how their comprehensive review is done. So I would have to say, go on to the University of California website. Every UC campus talks about the way they select applicants, and you can read about it. But for UC Merced, we're not looking at that level of SAT scores. Hopefully that helps. Lynn, I'll go ahead and answer your question live. The international classes for 9th grade that I took were graded differently. They were raised a grade. And I put on my high school transcript, sorry, your question moved. There it is. Oh no, okay, here we go. And I put on my high school transcript here in California. Do I still have to report the scores as the international transcript puts them? Okay, very good question. You need to report your international courses as they appear on your international transcript. Don't worry how your high school entered them, and don't worry about that. Report it in the UC application just like your international transcript shows it. How your high school is reporting it is totally different, and UC doesn't take that into consideration. We have about 5 minutes left, so I just want to give that reminder or warning out there. 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next question. I will answer Kyle's question live. I have the option of giving an associate degree of transfer in either mathematics or physics at my community college. If my double majors aren't either of those two, but closely related fields, computer science and environmental science, should I take the option of getting an ADT either way for UC Merced? You can definitely take the option of getting the ADT. We look at the associate degree of transfer as perseverance by an applicant. They're studying, they're very focused and determined in what they're studying, and they're taking the time to complete their ADT. Now, CSU is a different campus. They're looking at that differently. For UC Merced, we would look at that as perseverance, determination, and follow through, and how a student goes through and gets their associate's degree of transfer. We do recognize that in our review, and you can do either option of getting it, either one, or not getting it. It's not going to impact our decision, because we're looking at your major preparation, your GPA requirements, how you're doing overall in your academic preparation. But the ADT is just another check mark to say, very good work, you're determined, you have follow through and perseverance. So hopefully that helps to answer. Okay, we're almost getting close to being done. I'm going to go ahead and answer anonymous attendee. Which GPA, academic 10 through 12 total, is most important? Which one is used? Okay, I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question. I'll just say that the GPA, the UC GPA is determined by, again, summer after 9th, 10th, summer after 10th, 11th, summer after 11th. That's how we calculate your UC GPA. We take the weighted GPA up to 8 honors points. We only allow 4 honors points in grade 10, and then the remaining 4 in year 11. And that's how we determine your weighted UC GPA. Academic 10 through 12 total. We're not putting your 12th grade courses in the GPA calculation. One, you're in the middle of taking them and they're planned for spring. So we're only calculating the GPA summer after 9 through summer after 11. And all of those courses are important. And we like to see students challenge themselves enough to where they're not hurting themselves by over challenging and it's impacting their grades that they're receiving. So definitely take that honors level course or college course, but don't take so many that your grades start dropping and you're not doing well academically. That's my best advice there. All right, I know we're getting down to very, very little time. I think I'll go ahead and answer this anonymous attendee here live. I'm a bit confused. How many scores do I have to send? Can I send both ACT and SAT scores? My counselors aren't much help at school. You can send all your scores. So we're looking for the ACT with writing or the SAT with essay, and you can send both. You can send all of them that you completed. The reason is we're going to look at the best set of scores from one sitting that most benefit you as an applicant. And that could mean that maybe your overall score from one sitting is higher than another overall score from one sitting. But if you scored really well on a section of the exam that could help meet a requirement, like the English Language Arts of the ACT or the Writing and Language subscore of the SAT with essay, we'll be taking that set of scores. So we're going to do the set of scores from one sitting that most benefits the applicant. Okay, I think we're getting down to probably the end, so I just want to try to grab this international one again, anonymous attendee. My international high school transcript has courses listed as compulsory, oops, your question moved, as compulsory mathematics. Do I list that as mathematics? One, and like I have just science. Is that integrated science one? Listed exactly as it appears on your international academic record. Don't worry about trying to make it appear like US style courses. I have students that study from, let's say, China, and they take mathematics, and then they take mathematics, and then they take mathematics again. So it's okay. List it as it appears on your academic record. As an international evaluator, I know that mathematics is integrated math from China. So I take that into consideration. And then sometimes they'll just list science like multiple times, but I understand that to be an integrated science as well, because that's how it's offered in that country. So again, don't worry about having it make sense to us. Just report it as it appears on your academic record from outside the US, and we'll interpret it accordingly. If we have any questions, we'll reach out to you, so make sure you use that email that we can contact you at if we need to get a copy of your international academic record while we're evaluating. And that goes for all students. Maybe we're going to need a copy of your academic record. We'll reach out to that email you provided in the UC application. Okay, I think I have time maybe for one more question. Let's see, I will say that answer live anonymous attendee, will UC look bad at the fact that I took an AP US history class first semester and second semester I took a regular history? Would I have to explain why it was dropped? This is an excellent question. Thank you so much for asking. I would want to know why you dropped or why you changed from AP US history to the regular history. Many students have that situation and they explain it in the application quite well. Maybe they found that the AP history instructor wasn't really helpful and they felt like the course was going too fast or whatever it might have been. They explained that so we know, okay, then they went into regular history. That's fine. It's for when I'm looking at an application, I'm going to say, thank goodness that person explained why they switched. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. So it's just really helpful to know if the AP history course, the way it was being taught wasn't good, you felt kind of, lost in the material. So you switched back to regular history because you knew that instructor and you knew how it was taught and you felt you could do better, whatever it could be. Maybe you found AP US history was too challenging, so you went back to regular history because you were more worried about your grades. You wanted to keep your grades up. Explain that to us, and then we'll understand. no, I don't think that it will be looked at badly. It would be appreciated if you told us why. So definitely take that time to explain those situations in the application. Otherwise, we're not going to know. Okay, that was a good question. Let's see. Looks like we still have a bit more time. I'll know when.
Georgie, sorry,
We're
love
done.
to be on here all night. But we're gonna take one more question, and we'll wrap it up for the night.
Okay, so I have one more question I can take. I see one for personal insight essay questions. I'll take this one real quick because what I'm going to tell you is November 13th is where you're going to get this information answered in detail, but it says a question regarding the personal insight questions or essays they put. What are the components that the UCs are looking for while reviewing our applications? I know that you should write about yourself and not others. Well, what exactly should I include in my essay to stand out as a strong applicant? What you want to include in your personal insight question response is information about you. It's just that simple. We want you to pick the question that you most easily feel like related to, like it really could speak about you and you're comfortable talking about. Sometimes we suggest that, try answering all of them really quick, just, quickly respond to all of them. And then, have people look at it and say, no, this one you could talk more about, or this one sounds more like you, or you have a lot to say for this one. Just pick those questions that speak to you. That's the best thing. And talk about yourself. And don't feel funny talking about yourself, because remember, we do not know you, and that's how we get to know you, by the information you provide to us in the UC application. And it is very helpful. It may not seem that important to you, but as an application reader, it's very helpful information. And just be yourself, talk about you, your experience, and just respond to that question the best that you can. So hopefully that helps. But go to the personal insight question webinar November 13th, 6 to 7.
Well, thanks again, Georgie. I just want to hop on and thank you for being our presenter tonight and to answering all the questions. We're extremely grateful for all of you who attended, and we just want to remind you, like Georgie mentioned before, that we'll be doing several of these webinars throughout the month of November. Our next will be November the 13th for the personal insight questions, and then we'll be doing 2 last-minute application chats, both November the 20th and November the 30th, and we stay online until 11:59 at night. So we'll be on late with you, and you're welcome to come online and answer any questions you have about completing the UC application. But again, we want to thank you for attending. We will be sending out a recording to everyone who registered for tonight's presentation, and you'll receive that in the next 2 to 3 days. So for all of us here at UC Merced, we want to wish you the best of luck on applying to the University of California, and we hope everything goes well. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to send us an email at admissions.ucmerced.edu. Thanks again, Georgie, and we're going to sign off for tonight.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck to you. Don't hesitate to reach out. We'll reply for sure.